what works for absorbing bass. Okay. Now I'm gonna this is with a caveat. A lot of people think they need to absorb all the bass or they need to
No,
control, get it flat.
no.
And there's another kind of misconception. But
Yeah,
but yeah,
flat is not where you want to go.
no.
Okay. But one of the things that happens is human hearing doesn't hear bass as well as it does the rest of the frequencies. Therefore, you have to have more bass in the room in order to make it sound flat. And that's where the problem lies, is how much more bass. And a lot of that has to do with taste. Okay. Some guys like the idea of having lots and lots of bass. You can hear that in cars going down the road, and they're not, the tires aren't even touching the ground because the bass is pushing the car up on on an air puck, type thing.
Levitating. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's one of these things where these guys will never have enough bass because they won't fly. Okay, but the facts are you want to increase your bass level about 3 dB per octave below 250 hertz. That matches up with the Fletcher-Munson curves of your ears,
Yeah.
and so and you can kind of look at that. Look at each octave, increase the level, between 2.5 3 dB per, and that will make your ears think it's level.
Yes.
Uh, Now the question becomes, what happens at what we call sub bass? Okay, because the question is, what is bass? And one of the things that's not bass is not 35 hertz and 20 hertz. That's not bass. That's sub bass. Okay. Bass is actually in the range of between 80 hertz and 125 hertz. That's bass. That's what you normally hear as a bass drum or a person playing bass and stuff, is that range. So we're trying to make sure that you have control in that range. Now, if you get below 80 hertz, now you start talking sub bass. And that's a whole different realm, because now what happens is the sound doesn't act as a wave, but acts more, I'm sorry, it doesn't act as like a particle, like light would, but it now acts as a wave like water. And that means you have whole different sets of problems there.
Yes. Yes. In small rooms, that a partition where it separates and goes into just waves is much higher than in a large room.
No,
As
not really. No, not
well,
really. We consider that in concert halls and stuff like that, that anything below 80 hertz is called sub bass.
okay,
So
okay,
we deal with it the same way. Yeah, you may have more modes in that room, but
mm,
the dealing with it is still the same. Okay, so in most cases, we can deal with 80 to 125 hertz with velocity sensitive absorption,
mm-hmm,
such as 4 inches of 706 or PET or a number of other things out there.
right,
They actually do absorb quite well down to 80 hertz and 63 hertz, that range. Okay,
yes,
so you
yeah,
can deal with that by just putting that kind of stuff in the walls. But now that leaves you with sub bass to deal with. And if you put a lot of sub bass in the room, you've got to deal with it somehow.
yes,
And the only way to deal with the sub bass, at least at this time in our industry, is with diaphragmatic absorbers.
mm-hmm,
And right now, the most effective ones I'm aware of, after testing lots and lots of them, are the ones that are made by Real Acoustics.
base mod,
Yeah,
mm,
base mods and stuff. There's a whole series of base modules and models right now. So I can tell you that they will take care of everything from roughly 40 hertz up,
yeah.
and
This is
they're
not an
very.
ad. This is not
No,
an
it's
ad.
not an
But
ad.
this is a emphatic. Uh, Guys, get this because the science behind these things is incredible.
Yeah,
It's the research that has gone into it, the hours and the experimentation and the testing. These work. You can
yeah,
DIY whatever you want, but you're
yeah. One of the things I will say is a lot of the myths that we've believed for years, that you absorb bass by putting things in the corner. I would say, based upon the recent series of measurements we've done that have used different locations of absorbers, that probably is a myth.
mm,
Because what happens is, when you have a pressure zone, when it comes up against a barrier, you have a single pressure zone. When you put it in the corner, you now have three pressure zones. You have, in this case, let's figure a bottom corner. You have the floor and the two walls coming together.
Yes.
And each one of them will have a different modal function. And the problem is they're going to start to combine together and form lobing. And therefore, the absorber will not act like you expect it to. It's going to act all kinds of weird ways. You're going to get double peaks, triple peaks, and cancellations. So in between, let's say you have a peak at say 40 hertz and 80 hertz. At 63, you're going to have a trough like crazy because it's going to sit there and give you a half frequency range, and it's going to subtract. So you're going to have the opposite situation. So you're going to make it worse in that situation. So you've got to deal with the fact that absorbers that are diaphragmatic should be on a surface, okay, away from the corner by at least a wavelength, okay, in this situation, or a quarter wavelength in this situation. So I'd say if you have a 4-foot wide absorber, you should probably at least 4 to 6 feet away from the corner, okay, period. Okay, so, and then you put it against the wall. So I think that's really the key. And again, we have all kinds of curves. If you want to see them, I'll be happy to show you. But we've tried everything from the floor to the walls to the corners, laying them on the floor, laying them on the walls, laying them, the whole thing. You name the function that we've done, and we can show you that basically the only one that matches up with theory or close to theory is where you put them directly against the wall out of the corner. So if you want to do the lowest frequency, you put them on the longest distance between the walls. Okay.
Yes.
And if you want to do the next one, you do the other one. Okay. And then the other thing is these units are really tuned. So the diaphragm thickness itself, the thickness of the box itself, what kind of fiberglass goes inside, if there is fiberglass, the venting, all that is all determining what's going on in these units. And I can tell you right now that having dealt with these things now for the last couple of years, that there is no real way of doing them without doing your own experimenting. You can make all kinds of best guesses, but the guys who are the best at this right now have been at it for 2 or 3 years now, trying different things, and what they've done is patent. So that's a simple fact. You can't duplicate it. If you do, then you're going to run into a patent law. Okay, but the facts are you're not going to duplicate it anyway because you don't know what's in it, and nobody's going to tell you what's in it. So be aware that DIY in this situation, do it yourself. DIY is a non-starter in this situation. You can't afford to do that compared to what it costs you by.
Just order one. And they need to be on the floor, you say.
They need to be on the wall.
Okay. Well, on the wall floor junction?
That's fine. You can do that. If you lift them up off the floor, that actually helps them work a little bit better. But the difference is about 2 or 3% is all it is.
Okay, I see.
Yeah. So we found that if we put them up about 2 or 3 feet off the floor, the peak rounds a little nicer. It's not quite as peaky. But the facts are it's still very, very effective.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, just avoid a tri-corner.
Yeah, you don't want to be in a tricorner, but you want to be on a pressure zone. That means against the wall. Okay? Right. I have people calling me all the time and saying, "Can I put it in the middle of the room somewhere during a mode?" No, you put it where the maximum pressure is, and that is at a wall junction. Period.
Right. Yes. That can be determined by playing a tone. In the room.
Doesn't make a difference.
A pure tone and walking down the wall. It's really
makes no difference.
Okay.
The pressure zone is always the pressure zone. It's always at the wall, no matter what frequency it is.
Okay. All right.
Okay. And it doesn't matter whether it's 20 hertz or 40 hertz or 80 hertz. It's always there at that wall. Now, if you have to tune your absorber for the frequency you want. Okay. That's where it'll be most effective, though.
Yeah. Yes. Yes, indeed. Okay. Okay.